Good morning, my beautiful friends. Today is All Saints' Day, and you're wondering, what does that mean? Well, it is true. It is true that All Saints' Day and All Souls' Day were both created by the church to kind of distract the Celts, right? The Pope at the time was like, well, you're not gonna like beat them into not celebrating Samhain. So let's create some things that are kind of like Samhain, but are kind of Christian. And the Pope even said, like, if you see a tree and they venerate that tree, figure out a way to include that tree in Christianity, and that'll bring them over. Use what you've got. So what happened is they created All Saints' Day, which is November 1st, and All Souls' Day, which is tomorrow, November 2nd. And it's important to remember a few things. One, Celtic festivals don't last just one day. They usually last a period of days, sometimes 7 days, right? So Samhain actually starts at sunset on the 31st and then goes into November 1st. Samhain is actually the translated word for November, right? So that, I mean, we think All Hallows Eve, which when you put that together with the accent became Halloween, right? Samhain, Halloween. So November 1st is the day that you would remember your dead, right? So that's all important to know, and it's important to know that the church appropriated these things. But if you're a Christian Celtic spiritualist, you might honor all three, as do I. So what is All Saints' Day? So All Saints' Day was the day that they venerated all of the saints, because not all saints have a feast day. So if you have a favorite saint, if you're in a Christian tradition, or even if you're not, if you don't celebrate Christianity, but let's say you celebrate goddesses and gods, right? Well, you might have a favorite god or a favorite goddess that you really like, Freya, whomever, right? Thor, whatever. So they had to create a day for all the little gods, all the other ones that there wasn't like a favorite day for. So the same is true with the saints. So All Saints' Day is a day for you to venerate all of the saints, and especially those that didn't have their own day. So on this day, we honor all the saints, but I like to honor, sort of, my team. I have a team of saints that I like, and I thought I would share them with you. So I will provide links below for information about all of these folks, that you can learn more. And I would love to hear in the comments if you have a favorite saint, if you have a favorite god or goddess, whatever spiritual path you're on. If you're new to the channel, I am a Christian spiritualist, but I welcome and embrace all paths that bring light and love into the world. So I'm interested in whatever it is you want to share. So please comment below, like and subscribe, and all that good stuff. All right, so my favorite archangel, my favorite angel is Saint Michael the Archangel. If you're new to the channel, I have a book where I write everything down so I don't forget things, because I am old and I will not remember everything. And I like Saint Michael because he's like the chief. He's the head of the angels. He's the head archangel. He's known for protection. In the book of Revelation, he's the one that goes to battle with Satan, but he's our protector, right? So and he's in charge of all the other angels and archangels and the whole company of heaven. There's all kinds of different iconography and imagery and things about Saint Michael, but it's a very simple love and faith for him, because I feel he protects all of us, right? He protects all of us, no matter what your tradition, whether you believe in him or not. He protects the human world, the earthly world, from forces of evil. And, and you think, well, BRG, there's a lot of evil in this world. There is, but imagine how worse it could be, right? So I like Saint Michael, the Archangel. So technically he's not a saint because he's an angel, an archangel. He never walked the earth. So, he's sort of like a saint beyond the saints. So what about the earthly saints? Well, of course, I'm drawn to the Celtic saints. So we have, sort of standing first in line is Saint Brigid of Kildare. So if you're not familiar with Saint Brigid's story, there's a lot of mixture between Saint Brigid, the goddess, who is venerated in the Celtic tradition, and Saint Brigid of Kildare, who is an abbess. And it's hard because we have to sort of look back in history at how the church was organized back then compared to how the church is organized now. And of course, we're talking about the Roman Catholic Church, even though I'm not Roman Catholic. But at the time, the abbess, and then there was, female abbesses, right? They were sort of line in succession together. and they had a little bit more power than like, let's say, bishops or something, because they're, travel wasn't what it is today, and so the abbey, your local abbey, really had a lot of control. So Saint Brigid of Kildare started a monastery for both men and women, and a few other monasteries, and really sort of gave that start to monastic life, right? Now, the story of Saint Brigid is that she was the daughter of a clan chief, and that was her father, and then her mother was a Christian slave, and that she was sent to the Druids to be raised before she became a consecrated virgin. History is written by lots of folks, right? Sometimes it's written by the victor. Most times it's not written by the victor, and it's written by people with good intentions, but maybe took poetic license with the details. So we have to be really careful with historical representations of people who lived, before cell phones, really. And even with cell phones, there's, deep fakes and all that. So, you have to kind of look at the big picture and what may be true and what may not be true. I believe there was a goddess Brigid. I believe there was a woman named Brigid. I believe that we have historical record that she started the different, abbeys and stuff. So, but what I know about Brigid is that she cared for the sick and the poor, and that was her focus in life. Like, the stories of Saint Brigid are that she would take her father's wealth and then give it to the poor, and gave the sword that he was so frustrated with her because she was always giving away his stuff, that he took her to another king and wanted to sell her. And while he was in there trying to make the deal, she sold his fancy sword. Not sold, she gave his fancy sword to a poor family so that they could sell it to get money to feed themselves. So the king said, why don't you just give her her freedom, let her do her thing. It's going to cost you a lot less money. And so, if that story is true, I love that story. She's like the Robin Hood of saints. And so I love Saint Brigid. And I, as you know, I carry in my rune bag a Brigid's cross. I have Brigid's crosses all over my house. She's a protector of, the goddess Brigid was the protector of the flame. And I love Saint Brigid. So, Saint Patrick and Saint Columcille are the other two, or Saint Columba, he goes by that name as well. Those are the two other saints of Ireland and the Celtic tradition. So St. Patrick was actually born English, and it said, was captured by Irish pirates when he was about 16, taken to Ireland to serve as a slave, and he worked in the he was like a shepherd, and then he was there for about 6 years and then escaped and ran back home, and then he, became Christian, became part of the church, and then went back to Ireland to Christianize Ireland. So, interestingly, because the system didn't exist yet, he is not actually canonized by the Roman Catholic Church, because that didn't exist back then. So he predates that. Saint Columba, Saint Columcille, he is, of course, the founder of the Abbey on Iona, which they say that Iona was a Druid college before Columba came, and he was wealthy. There's some scuttle about how he got kicked out of Ireland, and I don't know if any of that's true. I'm not a scholar in any of these things, but what I like about him is that he created the Abbey on Iona, and really brought Christianity to Scotland. But he seemed to honor the Druidic path also. So there's a lot of combination of the Druidic way and the Christian way, and I like that. Saint Therese of Lisieux is more of a modern saint. She is French. She's called the Little Flower, and I like her because I read about her when I was in college. I went to a Roman Catholic university, so I had to take theology classes, and I liked her because her faith and her spirituality is so simple. It's not complicated. She ended up dying at, I think, the age of 24 from TB, but she had, I don't know if she was in a fever or what, but she had these visions and went through this whole thing about self-doubt, about doubting the existence of God and all those things. And she wrote down, which, is unique for a female to write down, the story of the soul, which is the book she wrote. And it's just a real simple approach to faith. Like, it doesn't have to be all this fancy crap. It doesn't have to be, all of this stuff. It's really, your faith is very simple. And I love that message. And then I think my favorite saint is St. John the Apostle, who was, sometimes called Jesus' beloved apostle. He was brother to James, who was the first apostle that was martyred in the church. He lived to be very old, and I think he's the only apostle that wasn't martyred. And he lived to be pretty old, because I think he lived 50 years after James was martyred, and he was probably about, 16 or 20 when he followed Jesus, so that's pretty old for the time. But he is considered the father of the Celtic branch of the church, and you see a lot of John and Peter being the father of the Roman church. You see a lot of times when the two of them are with Jesus, and in the Gospel of John it talks about John being the beloved disciple of Jesus, and his mother was sister to the Virgin Mary, and so the mother of James and John they were both at the crucifixion, and so that's interesting too. Like, so that would have made Jesus his cousin biologically. So anyway, these are the saints that I think are amazing, and these are the ones that I honor. They're bigger saints, so they all have their own feast days. But, there are lots of other little saints, and I don't know what the rules are for becoming a saint. There's some saints that are honored by the Roman Church, but not the Anglican Church, some by the Anglican Church and not the Roman Church. You have Greek Orthodox saints, and there's all kinds of saints. And in my opinion, I kind of feel like we're all saints, right? All of us are saints in some way if we're bringing light and love into the world. And, some people will say, well, why do you even care? Why does it even matter? Does it even matter? On your spiritual path, whatever brings you meaning is great, right? And if you can look at the examples of the saints, if you can look at the examples of political leaders or gods and goddesses or whatever it is you believe in, if you can look at their path and think, my faith can be simple, like Saint Therese. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be a whole lot of hoopla and fancy stuff. If you can look at St. Patrick and say, these guys, they captured him. They made him a slave, made him work in the field, and he escaped, and he went home. But then he went back, and he's like, you know what? The reason they took me is because they weren't Christian. Let's help them be Christians. So he went back into a community that had treated him terribly, right? And became their beloved patron saint. When we look at Saint Therese and her simplicity, we look at Saint Patrick, we look at Saint Columba and his willingness to work with the local population and combine efforts, so that we honor nature and we honor the greatest teaching difference. And I've talked about this before between Saint John and Saint Peter, is that Saint Peter in the Roman Church, you go to church to get your Christianity handed to you through sacraments and through the teachings of the church, where St. John, he believed that the church is all around us. It's in us already. You don't have to go anywhere. It's right here. It's right here and now. So I love that. St. Michael the Archangel, he's our protector. He's our protector, and he's watching out over all of us here on earth and in the heavenly space. And who did I miss? So we have Saint Brigid. Oh, did I talk about Saint Brigid? I love Saint Brigid. She's my favorite, and I wear a Saint Brigid's cross. Saint Brigid. If the stories are true, and she was, a slave or whatever, I don't know any of that. But what I do know is that she cared for the poor and the sick, and that's what I feel like we should be doing on earth. We should be helping those less fortunate than us, and we should be in service to others all the time, right? And it's not just about lighting our path and illuminating our experience, but illuminating the paths where we can and helping others wherever we can. So there's Saint Brigid, the three Irish saints: Saint Brigid, Saint Patrick, Saint Columba. And we have the head saint, Michael the Archangel, and we have Saint John the evangelist, or Saint John the Apostle, and then we have a modern saint in Saint Therese of Lisieux. So those are all my favorite saints. Who are your favorite saints, or your gods or goddesses, or whatever it is you believe? I'd love to hear about it down below, and I'm wishing you a very blessed All Saints Day. Be well. Take care. Bye-bye.